Unlock a deeper connection with our community through our Patreon. Gain exclusive access to behind-the-scenes content, bikini hauls, and Patreon-exclusive massage videos. Join our Patreon or download our app to embark on a path of tranquility and self-discovery. Your journey awaits. Namaste.
Hi, thank you for joining me today. We're going to be doing yoga for grounding, and this is for women in their third trimester of pregnancy. I did want to mention a few things. So with these squats that we're going to be doing, if you're 30 weeks and you're breech, you definitely don't want to do deep squats. Other than that, this is a really safe sequence for anyone in their third trimester. And a few things that you will need: I have a pillow that I'm using and also a folded up towel. So go ahead and grab what you need and let's get started. If you don't have time to watch this video right now, go ahead and save for later and just do this whenever you get a chance. Okay, so we are going to start in wide-legged child's pose. So we're at the point in our pregnancy we're focusing on just creating plenty of space for the belly. So most of the poses we're going to do are just kind of a wider stance and position than you might be used to. So big toes close together, knees nice and wide apart. And you can go ahead and just let your head rest on the mat. And if you're feeling a little too crowded in your belly, you can actually just put this pillow right here and it can feel really nice. Create a little more space. I actually have a yoga bolster at home that I use that I really like. So go ahead and find whatever position feels comfortable. And this is probably the most grounding yoga pose that I know. It's one of my favorites when I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed or scattered. And go ahead and just let those hips sink down towards the heels and really feel your head connect towards the earth. And just start to be more aware of your breath and breathing in and out through the nose. And just start to do a brief mental scan. See where you might be holding tension in your back or your shoulders. And really just surrender that tension towards the floor. And really allowing those hips to sink down. Paying attention from right to left. One hip might feel a little more lifted. Go ahead and walk your hands forward, feeling that length in the spine. And spread your fingers wide. And just go ahead and tuck your chin in, keeping the cervical spine nice and long. And take about 3 more breaths here, really sinking in, letting your hips sink down, letting your spine lengthen. Coming into tabletop position, go ahead and stack your hips over your knees and your shoulders over your wrists. And this is a really healthy position to practice proper core engagement. So there's so much weight here that we're getting used to. What tends to happen is there's a lot of pressure on our hips and low spine. So to compensate, really engaging the core in a healthy way is really important. So go ahead and in this position, you're not trying to round your spine, you're just doing a pelvic tilt, so it's a more subtle movement. So just pressing the tailbone in and forward and drawing the abdomen towards your spine. And this might look really simple, but this is one of the safest, most effective ways that you can strengthen your core in the third trimester of pregnancy. And go ahead and just tuck your chin in, keeping the cervical spine long. forming a straight line from your tailbone all the way through the crown of your head. And I'd like you to really press through your palms, feeling the arms engage, feeling the core engage. And go ahead and relax. I'm going to do this 3 times, and I'd like you to go ahead and once again tilt your pelvis and draw your pelvic floor in at the same time. So all those important muscles are engaged and strong. Tuck your chin in and release. There's also a lot of pressure that's being put on our pelvic floor right now, so it's really important to keep the pelvic floor nice and strong to have a healthy pregnancy and prepare for a delivery, a hopefully easy delivery. Not easy, but somewhat easy. I would like to say that again. So it's really important to strengthen the pelvic floor in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy. There's a lot of weight that's being put on the pelvic floor muscles, and this is just one of the best ways. Let's go ahead and do this 1 or 2 more times. So neutral position into that pelvic tilt and draw your pelvic floor muscles in. Squeeze as much as you can. And release. And let's do that 1 more time. Go ahead and tilt your pelvis, flatten that low back, and draw your pelvic floor in. And hold this for a little bit longer. Squeeze and release. Go ahead and, like I was saying, we're going to do a wider stance for most poses. Go ahead and bring your feet and your hands out so you're wider than shoulder and hip distance, and go ahead and press right up into dog pose, downward dog. Because there's so much weight in our abdomen, we tend to lose length in our spine, and this is one of the best poses for just restoring that length. And it's really safe for your baby as well, your stomach. Press the thighs back, letting the heels sink down, allowing that chest to open as the spine lengthens. Not so much trying to control your breath, just letting it anchor you into the present. About 5 more breaths here, letting the heels sink down, feeling that spine lengthen. Nice and slow, go ahead and walk your feet forward into a full forward fold. Nice wide feet. Very stable position. Half forward fold, go ahead and look up, long spine. You can grab hold of your calves or your ankles, and full forward fold here. And let's take about 5 breaths, really anchoring through our feet, lifting through the thighs, lengthen through that spine even here. And pressing through the feet, go ahead and bring the arms overhead, feel that length in the spine. Tucking the tailbone in. Coming right into chair pose, go ahead and hinge at the hips, sinking your hips down, not allowing the knees to move past the toes. Drawing the shoulder blades in. Feeling that heat build, feeling really anchored through our feet. And full forward fold. Go ahead and wrap your hands around, maybe a little bit deeper this time. 3rd trimester is not a time to push yourself too hard. So just be gentle with yourself in your practice. And press through your feet. Go ahead and bring the arms overhead. Long spine, tucking the tailbone in. And one more chair pose. Go ahead and sink those hips down, feeling rooted through the feet. Feeling solid in our legs. Drawing the shoulder blades in. And full forward fold. Last one. And then grab hold of your ankles, your calves. Relax those shoulders away from the ears. And pressing through the feet, go ahead and come on up. And I'm gonna go ahead and face forward. So let's just take a little break if you wanna grab a drink of water. So sometimes what happens in the third trimester is the baby can start to press on different parts of the pelvic floor or the uterus in a way that throws us off balance. And so practicing really stable, strengthening standing poses is one of the best things you can do for restoring that balance. This is a really simple pose, but it's actually my favorite for just creating and restoring that balance. So feet nice and wide apart, and you want to angle your feet out, not quite 45 degrees. And this is called goddess pose. So go ahead and start with a nice straight legs, long spine. So the key here is anytime that we bend forward, we're gonna feel that weight pull us forward. So really practice on that core engagement, rolling the shoulders back, keeping the spine long as we hinge our hips. So coming into our first goddess, go ahead and bend those knees and rooting down through the tripods of the feet, below the big toe, below the little toe, and center of the heel. Rooting down, feeling that strength travel up into the hips and the pelvic floor. Draw the pelvic floor in and lengthen your spine as you draw the shoulder blades in. Holding for about 3 more breaths, feeling really anchored through our feet. And come on up. You should be starting to feel it in your thighs as well. And go ahead and bend your knees one more time. The same thing, starting through the feet, rooting down, feeling strength in our legs, drawing the pelvic floor in as we draw the shoulder blades in. If you're feeling your legs burn, that's a good sign. And come on up, and we're gonna do that one more time. So just taking a breath. If you're feeling a little out of breath, that's totally normal in the third trimester. The diaphragm is getting kind of pressed on right now, so totally normal. Go ahead and root down through your feet, bending those knees. Feeling really anchored through our feet. Strong thighs, drawing the pelvic floor in. Long spine. Holding for a little bit longer. And come on up. Go ahead and step your feet about hip distance apart. Anytime that I'm feeling scattered or ungrounded, I usually need to find my center more, and I find that core work is really helpful. But practicing core work is a lot different in your third trimester. So this is a great balancing pose, and it's also really good for the core. So Tadasana with wide legs, rooting down through the feet, strong thighs. Go ahead and tuck your tailbone in as you draw your belly in towards your spine. Long spine here. Go ahead and roll your shoulders back. And just changing your posture can really affect how you feel, can make you feel a lot better. And go ahead and relax. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll up onto the balls of our feet. And to do this successfully, to keep your balance, you really need to engage your lower abdominals. So you can bring your hands onto your hips if you'd like, and go ahead and just play around nice and slow. So tucking the tailbone in, engaging that lower abdomen, and go ahead and just roll up onto the balls of your feet. Hold it and release. And we're going to do this about 6 times. Holding at the top. If you want a little bit more, go ahead and draw that pelvic floor in as you reach the top. Pause for a couple of seconds. Squeeze. And tucking the tailbone in if you're struggling with balance. Sometimes the low back can overarch, throwing our balance off. About 2 more. And last one, let's go ahead and hold for 5 seconds. Holding at the top, drawing the tailbone in, drawing the abdomen in. And release. And coming right into Bakasana. So this is the position that you need to be careful of. If you're 30 weeks in breech, I would go ahead and skip it. Otherwise, let's go ahead and move forward. Feet are a little bit wider than hip distance apart and slightly angled. Moving into Bakasana, so just nice and slow, working our way down. And go ahead and let your hips sink down. You can bring your hands onto the floor to start. And if balance feels solid, you can bring your elbows on top of your knees or slightly inside of your thighs. And let's go ahead and just take a few breaths here, really allowing our hips to sink down, allowing our heels to sink down, long spine here. Feeling our energy really root down through our feet as our spine lengthens. And as gracefully as possible, go ahead and come into a seated position and go ahead and grab your pillow or your whatever prop you're using to sit on. Coming into butterfly, go ahead and just bring the soles of your feet together and rock back and forth, just rooting down through our sit bones. This is another great position for restoring balance to the hips and the pelvic area. So go ahead and just lengthen that spine, through that spine. And rooting down through your sit bones, go ahead and start to just hinge your hips, bringing yourself forward a little bit. And just start to notice if you're holding in your right or left hip and really just let go of that tension, staying focused on our breath. Relax your abdomen, your shoulders, allowing your spine to lengthen. Holding for about 20 more seconds, just giving ourselves plenty of time to really explore the position. It's never about forcing anything to open, just allowing those hips to open at their own pace. This is a great way to prepare for delivery if you're closer to your due date. Bring the knees up and coming into bridge pose. Make sure your prop's handy and go ahead and separate your feet a little wider than hip distance. You can just lay back. Generally, spending extended periods of time on your back is not healthy in your 3rd trimester, but little pockets of time is usually pretty safe. And this is probably the best position for exploring healthy core engagement if you're struggling to make the connection. So go ahead and in this position, sinking down through, rooting down through your feet, go ahead and just tilt that pelvis, drawing the tailbone in, drawing those lower abdominals in. And hold it. And keeping that healthy core engagement, go ahead and press through your feet, coming into bridge pose. You can leave your hands by your hips. You can bring your arms overhead, whatever feels the best. Just allowing your front body to open, rooting down through your feet, tucking the tailbone in. Go ahead and lower, relax. And one more time, go ahead and tilt your pelvis. Engage your core, press through your feet. Especially when you're in bridge, practicing that pelvic tilt here. And release. And this is a modified Shavasana, so go ahead and grab your pillow or your blanket and you can just bring it in between your legs. And you can grab your other prop if you have it, and go ahead and just gently roll to your side. You can just rest your head on your prop and just find whatever arm position is comfortable. And nothing fancy here. So go ahead and close your eyes. Just wrapping up our practice. Just letting go of any lingering tension. Allowing your face to soften, allowing the jaw to soften. Let your tongue rest in the lower part of your mouth. Feeling space in your mouth. Just enjoying the simplicity of this moment. Feeling cared for through your practice. Just letting go of thinking about the past or future, which can get more challenging as we enter our third trimester. Just letting your breath anchor you back to the present moment. Feel free to lay here as long as you need to. That is it for our practice today. It's been a pleasure practicing with you. If you enjoyed today's video, you should check out our app Yoga Plus. There's some really great content on there, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Welcome to Yoga Plus. Courses available from pupil to yogi. Sort by yoga, fitness, and instructors. Create your own routines. Access the Pose Library. Yoga Plus by Psyche Truth, available on Google Play and the App Store.
Join us for 14 and 30-day programs, hour-long classes, and much more on our yoga app, Yoga Plus by Psyche Truth. It's free to download and features a variety of wellness content, including yoga, fitness, Pilates, guided meditations, and interviews with dozens of wellness experts.